Hello, this is another little share about something that I recognise when I look at the internet now that I'm stuck inside a lot with my health conditions that other people struggle with, as I have done. And so I keep feeling the need to say something, not because I'm saying this is the whole answer or anything like that. Of course I'm not. I'm saying what's helped me in it. Really just to share it, and I'd love to hear what you think and for you to share it back, because I think this is how we carry on in our journey to wholeness and happiness, isn't it? So again, I will draw on my Christian and more specifically Catholic faith, but of course it's for everybody, and it's in full respect to what everybody else thinks. But I think aspects of all of our journeys and discoveries help each other no matter which road we're going down. So it's for anybody to hear. And I'm doing rather a lot of them because I'm having another little reprieve in amongst the flare-ups I get with this progressive condition thing. So I thought I'd better get on with it. And so the thing is, today I'm thinking about what used to bother me a lot in my search for God, if you like, or that sort of quest, spiritual quest, the sort of the understanding that I had, which I now know is distorted, and was that that God had some sort of wrath about him. And that I was to be deep down afraid of him because I knew many things that I'd done wrong and the mess I was in inside. And I used to think, oh well, I probably can go to Jesus. This is before I was a Catholic, but I probably can go to him because I read about things that he said in the gospel, and he says, come to me, and I came to seek and save and all that thing. But I couldn't really think about God the Father. I didn't understand the Holy Spirit either. And deep down, I suppose we're not 100% sure at that time that Jesus is truly God made man, as I do truly believe he is now. And and as he said, I and the Father are one. To see me is to have seen the Father. But I didn't understand any of that, and I still had this deep down fear. I didn't understand it. And in a lot of hymns, actually, different sort of hymns, it's like as if Jesus got all the wrath of God landed on him or something. I now know I cringe when I hear anything like that, because I think, oh my goodness, for what I understand now, having lived and prayed through a lot of difficulties, having studied in the faith in detail, really, through Our Lady's Catechism. I've done a course and read the Bible prayerfully and everything like that, and listened to loads of homilies and shared with friends and everything to come to what I understand now, though it's very imperfect what I can tell you, and if you're more interested it's best to go to the very good sites. But and on that line, I heard the most wonderful homily today. I know I don't usually plug things because it's as if I'm saying something else isn't as good. I'm sure it is. But it was Monsignor John Armitage on the Walsingham Daily Mass stream today on this Sunday, about the tax collector and the sinner and about God. Oh, what a cracking homily. I wish everybody could hear it. Anyway, it's a bit on those lines really what I need to say, because it's this misunderstanding about God and this idea of wrath. And I'll just tell you simply in my own words what I understand about it now, having read and prayed and done all that, is that when we first sinned and turned against God and said we want our own way, if you like, God was gutted because all he wants to do is pour out his goodness and love. I now understand that God is Trinity because, he says we made man in our own image, right in the very beginning of the Bible. I know that all different faiths believe different things. I don't want to go on too much on that. I just want to tell you what I think of this wrath business. And that I do believe that God, Father, Son and Holy Spirit, as it were, decided, what on earth can we do? I'm using my own language, but what can we do for these people, our people, because they're going to get into a dreadful mess without the help we can give them. And we know about the evil one, and all the destruction he can do, and he wants their destruction and all this. So, if you like, the Holy Trinity decided that Jesus was to become man. Only he could take it all on and redeem it and bring us back to what we'd lost. And so it was an equal decision, if you like, between God the Father, the Son and the Holy Spirit. Out of equal love, they are one, But anyway, so all that Jesus did, I mean, can you imagine if your own son or daughter is going through such dreadful agonies for a purpose that is so dear to their heart? I mean, actually, do you not go through more by watching them and being part of it than almost by having it? To see the suffering of somebody we love and to be in full empathy with them is almost worse than having it yourself. So, I think it's totally, well, it gives a total wrong impression of how God the Father was about this, the decision of God to take on our iniquity in order to redeem us and to give us a share in his goodness and his love. If we want it, if we accept it, it's there for us. This, I heard again today that wonderful homily. God can't help but love us. He just can't help it. He can't resist it. I mean, he couldn't resist the sin. It was about the tax collector and the sinner, wasn't it? The tax collector at the back who'd done all sorts of wrong, and he could hardly lift his head up to him. But he said, "Oh God, be merciful to me, a sinner." God can't resist it when we just look up to him and we're honest about what we are, and we just sort of accept his help. He can't resist, but very, very thoughtfully, if you like, by coming to help us and to forgive us. His name is mercy. He's mercy. That's God the Father as well as Jesus, and that you must always hold on to that very, very key parable about the prodigal son, the father of the prodigal son. He was stood waiting and waiting for this son who had demanded his inheritance as if he wanted the father dead so that he could have a good time and blow it all on whatever, like we do. But and then he hit hard times and thought, oh, how can I go home now? But I'll have to, because what else can I do? And anyway, so, but day and night the father was on the hillside waiting for this son, watching and longing for this son, even though he got everything there. He wanted for nothing. He had another son that he loved very dearly just the same, and he was at home, but he just, he couldn't, like, you can't, can you, if somebody's gone missing or in trouble? But he more than any, he was there, and when he saw him a long way off, Jesus said, he ran. I mean, the Father with all that dignity and everything. I mean, God the Father, he's talking about, he ran. God who is timeless. I hope this isn't disrespectful to say this, but if you've watched Lord of the Rings, the Ents, they sort of take a long, long, long time to say something or anything. Well, that's a sort of a very brief glimpse, if you like, of God, in a sense, how, things with God can happen over 1,000 years. It's all in his mind. It's there, it's going to happen, it's going to be, but we want everything in a flash. But usually with God, that's how it is, isn't it, when you think about it? I'm sorry I'm not explaining it very well. It's very much human, what I'm saying, but you know what I mean. But the point is, he ran. And then the next bit really gets me, because when he grasps his son, who's in this wretched state, he just grasps him. He doesn't say anything. He don't want the son to say anything. He just don't need anything like that. He's just, so delighted to have him back. And this God, to whom, there is no time, who is timeless, you know, to whom 1,000 years is like yesterday come and gone. He says, quick, quick, bring him the sandals, bring him the robe, quick. You know, that's how God the Father is. If we turn to him in a little bit of openness and you know, recognising our need, and he's not going to lord it over us or anything. He's going to enhance us beyond all measure. So I do wish these wonderful hymns, there's some wonderful hymns that are great, except for an odd line that says something about, you know, Jesus having the wrath of God on him. Now there is a sense, of course, in which God takes a very, very firm, and it feels like wrathful stand against evil. Well, of course he has to do, because he's all just, isn't he? And we can do many, many things to turn our back on him and to do the wrong thing, and it feels as if it's his anger, but it's the position we've put ourselves and the wall we've driven between us that feels like that. You know, he cannot stand it when we love doing evil and we hold on to it and we cling it and we prefer it to him. But when we're doing things and we think, oh, you know, I wish I wasn't doing this, but I can't help it, sort of thing. Like St. Paul said, I know your law in the depth of my heart, but I keep doing the wrong thing. Well, he's all love and understanding towards us, you know, and just wants to help us. But, you know, the Pharisee in today's gospel, he was like all good of his own. He thought it was all of his own making. He did this, he did that, he did the other. He didn't really need God. So he was sort of doing wrong in another way, wasn't he? It was pride, like, you know, and we've all got a bit of both in us all the time, I guess. But, you know, to be aware of that, and that wonderful homily today, especially I wanted to say, because that fear of God used to block me a lot on my journey. And I know in the faith that I now have, you know, it's not part of it at all. It's just not there. Of course, there is a fear that's a sort of like awe. They call it awe, really, you know, because he's so good and so holy and so beautiful that you know, you sort of don't want to do anything awful. You've got that sort of fear of hurting him, really, offending him. Or you've got the sort of fear, like, you know, if you see a cracking beautiful dawn and you go, wow, you know, or a wonderful, wonderful work of art, and you go, wow, and you certainly wouldn't want to, you know, chuck a lot of ink on it or something like that. It's that sort of thing, you know, that fear, really, the fear of a loving child, you know, hurting a very, very loving, devoted parent. You know, you just don't want to, do you, really? I mean, you do it because we're all we do it, of course we do, but we don't want to. I hope that maybe helps some people in their journey, if that issue is something that bothers them, like it has bothered me in the past. Thank you.